From Atlanta, Georgia, welcome to Fearfully and Wonderfully Me, a podcast for women on leadership and life skills with Rhea Story. Rhea shares powerful life and leadership principles, helping you maximize your potential and become the woman God created you to be.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Worrying Away Today's Sunshine. I was running with a friend yesterday, and we were talking about how we all have a tendency from time to time to miss out on the joy or the happiness of the present moment because we're so worried or concerned or afraid of what the future might hold. And so we were running and we were talking about this, and she shared with me a really good quote. And I don't know who said it, but she shared with me the quote that says, "To worry is to put today's sunshine behind tomorrow's clouds." And I really love that because it was just such a simple way to share or to really articulate how a lot of times we are so worried about tomorrow's possible clouds that we allow tomorrow's possible clouds to hide the sunshine in our life today. And so as we were running, I was thinking about that, and I told her, I said, "You're going to have to text that to me after we get done running, because I don't know if I can really remember it, as we're running down the road, and I'm out of breath and I'm tired, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know if I can remember it. And it's so good. You've got to text it to me when we get back." And she did. So that really was kind of the inspiration for today's lesson, because I think that a lot of us, I know I do. I know I have a tendency to stop focusing on the present moment and the joy of the present moment, because sometimes I'm worried about tomorrow's possible clouds. It's almost like we're almost afraid to be too happy right now. And so we almost look for reasons or create reasons or sometimes just invent something to be concerned or worried or afraid about. And we allow that to dull the happiness of our current circumstances and our present moment. And, really the thing about worry or fear is, number one, we cannot do anything about it. Whatever we're worried or afraid about, we usually can't even control it. And yet we allow it to discolor our life in the present moment. And we can't do anything about it anyway. Most of fear, it's something I read a statistic that talks about 80% of fears are just something that we cannot control anyway. And we create the fear. Fear doesn't really exist except in our mind. It's simply something that we create. And the more we focus on it, the greater power we give it. Now, I think it's important to distinguish between the difference between worried about something that we cannot control and really proactively thinking about possibilities that we need to prepare for. There's absolutely a place to be thinking about what's going on in our life today and what's going on in our life tomorrow, and think about the things that we can control. And that's the big difference. You see, a lot of us spend our time and energy wasting our emotions and our thoughts on the things that we cannot control. And really, we should be focusing on what Stephen Covey calls the circle of influence. So if you were to think about how Stephen Covey describes it, is this giant circle. If you were to write down on a piece of paper and draw a big circle on the paper, and then everything in that circle, write down everything that you're worried about. Everything from, is it going to rain tomorrow when I want it to be sunshine? All the worries, fears, and concerns that you have, all of the things. And he calls this the circle of concern. Everything that we are worried or concerned about goes in that circle. And then if you were to draw a second circle inside that circle of concern, and in that second circle would go all the things that we might be concerned about, but they're things that we can influence. So this might be things like, gosh, I'm worried that I might get a chronic disease, but something that I can influence because I can make better health choices today. So everything that we might be worried or concerned about, but things that we can influence, go in that circle. And Stephen Covey talks about, if we focus on our circle of concern, all the things that we cannot control or affect, we find that circle grows and grows. But if we focus our energy on the things that we can influence, we find that circle grows and grows. And that's a really powerful way to think about our present circumstances and our future circumstances, focusing our energy on the things that we can control. And if we can't influence it or control it or affect it, we don't need to worry about it, because worrying about it is letting tomorrow's clouds hide today's sunshine. And there's no place for that in our lives, particularly if you're a person of faith. We know that God is in control, and He causes everything in our lives to be used for good when we trust Him. And so when we worry, we're saying, God, I don't trust you to take care of this. And we let those possible clouds hide today's sunshine. So here's my takeaway for today. As you're going through your day today, or your week, or your weekend, and you find yourself drifting towards worrying about something that you cannot control. It might be, gosh, what if somebody's in a car wreck this weekend? You can't control that. Now, what you could control or influence is making better choices about when and where you're driving. Try not to drive in the thunderstorm if you're worried about that. But that's something that you can possibly influence. But just worried about a random car accident is not something that you can control. So as you find yourself going through your day or your week, and if you find any of your energy going to something that you're worried about that you cannot influence, I want you to stop right there and even just say out loud and say, no, I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on the things that I can influence, and ask yourself, what can I influence about that situation or that possibility? And if the answer is nothing, then turn your thoughts away from it. Just really consciously say, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm going to focus on something that I can control. And so bring your emotions and bring your awareness, consciously choose to say, I'm going to focus on something that I can influence. And I'll tell you a secret. The more you do that, the easier it will become to say, nope, not going to worry about that. Not going to focus on that. And I know it's tough to do all the time. We all are tempted to drift into those thought patterns that really just don't serve us. But the very next time you find yourself thinking about that, consciously say, no, I'm not going to focus on that. I cannot control or influence that. Bring your awareness back to that circle of influence that you can control and influence. And you'll find that the more time you spend emotionally in that circle, the better life gets, because that circle will grow and grow. Until next time.
Start increasing your influence and maximizing your potential with Ria's audiobooks. Available at audible.com, amazon.com, and iBooks. Please visit riastory.com to learn about Ria's books, resources, speaking, and training programs. Thanks for listening.